You can buy a $500,000 yacht for less than a college tuition. A real, running, fully equipped motor yacht with staterooms, a flybridge, and a range that can take you from Florida to the Bahamas and back without blinking, belonging to someone who made payments on it faithfully right up until they did not. Right now, today, there are yachts like that sitting in marine liquidation yards in Fort Lauderdale, in the Carolinas, in Southern California, waiting to sell to whoever bothers to show up. And almost nobody does. So the first question is obvious. Why is nobody showing up? The auto repossession market hit 1.73 million vehicles in 2024, a 16% jump from the year before. Marine finance experts say their market is tracking the same pattern and may be the most exposed sector of all. The National Marine Lenders Association confirmed delinquencies climbed in 2022 and 2023 and kept going. One broker with a decade in the marine industry put it plainly, in his entire career, he had never seen repossession activity at this rate. That inventory has to go somewhere. It goes to auction. And at auction, it sells for whatever the room will pay that day. The reason nobody shows up is that this entire pipeline was never designed for a regular buyer to find it. It runs through channels most people have never heard of, advertised in places most people never look, on schedules that do not accommodate the person who Googles boats for sale on a Saturday morning. The auctions run on weekdays. The listings appear in legal notices. The inventory moves through liquidators, federal agencies, and bank asset departments that have no reason to market to you. The lack of competition is not an accident. It is a structural feature of how the system disposes of these boats. But before we get into exactly where these boats are and how to find them, there is something you need to understand about why the price gap is as wide as it is. Because if you do not understand this, you will either overbid and leave money on the table, or you will underbid without knowing why your number makes sense. And that piece of math is the difference between the buyers who win at this and the buyers who get burned. A used 50-foot motor yacht from a respected builder like Hatteras, Sea Ray, or Grand Banks typically lists between $400,000 and $600,000 through a broker. An Azimut or Princess in that size range commands similar numbers. And here is what almost nobody talks about. A new yacht loses 10 to 20% of its value in the first year alone. By year 5, a production motor yacht has typically given up 40 to 50% of what it cost new. That is before a single missed payment. Add a wave of post-pandemic loan defaults on top of that depreciation curve, and you get a growing supply of barely used yachts hitting a liquidation market where the seller is a bank that wants disposal, not top dollar. The gap between what the boat is worth and what it sells for on that particular Tuesday morning is not an accident. It is a structural feature of how this pipeline works. Now you understand the price. So the next question is where these boats actually are and how 3 very different types of buyers are accessing them. The most organized entry point is bank repossession liquidators. The biggest name in this space is National Liquidators, headquartered in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. They have handled over 40,000 cases since 1988, including bank repos, foreclosures, and government-seized vessels, and operate alongside their brokerage arm National Yacht Sales. Their process is structured. They require buyers to speak with one of their brokers before submitting a bid. They allow personal inspections, facilitate sea trials for a $500 captain fee, and actively encourage buyers to bring their own surveyor. The inventory is listed openly on their website. The second name, and the one fewer people know about, is Repo and Associates, operating through their repossession arm Marina Mile Recovery LLC, based in Fort Lauderdale and running since 1990. These are the people banks and lenders call when a $500,000 yacht stops making its loan payments. They do not advertise inventory the way National Liquidators does. But a broker relationship with their team puts a buyer directly in front of boats that never reach the public market at all, no competing auction, no other bidders in the room. And there is a third channel that almost nobody talks about, and it is the least competitive of all three. Some banks never send their repos to a liquidator. They quietly list them through their own asset management departments, and the inventory disappears before it ever reaches a public platform. Experienced buyers access this by building a call list, Truist, Regions, TD Bank, local credit unions with marine portfolios, and calling monthly to ask whether any repossessed marine inventory is available. Most calls get a no, but the calls that get a yes lead to conversations with zero competing bidders. None. Not fewer. Zero. There is also a fourth pipeline that most buyers completely overlook, and it is the only one where the government itself is handing you a clean title on delivery. The US Marshals Service sells property seized in Department of Justice cases, and this is where the inventory at the very top of the yacht market ends up. These sales run through the official US Marshals online sale platform. The buyer pool is small because listings appear in legal notices and government portals rather than anywhere a normal boat buyer would look. And unlike a standard repo, where title complications can follow the boat for years, the government strips the liens and transfers clean title at closing. That single feature removes one of the most expensive legal headaches in the entire repo market. So now you know where the boats are and how to access each channel. But here is the part most people get completely wrong, and it is the reason smart buyers end up with a deal while everyone else ends up with a project that never leaves the dock. The catch has a name. In the yacht market, they call it the death spiral of deferred maintenance. An owner who knows the bank is coming for the boat stops spending money on it months before the seizure. No engine services, no generator oil, no bottom paint, no impeller work, no water maker maintenance. The systems go unrun and untouched. So what arrives at the liquidator is not a $500,000 yacht simply marked down to $100,000. It is a yacht with an unknown engine history, possibly dead house batteries, possibly a raw water cooling system that has sat full of salt water for months, sold as is, where is, with all faults and no warranty. And at this price tier, those unknowns can reach 6 figures before you ever leave the yard. If you have ever seen this happen, if you have seen an owner who just stopped showing up, or a boat that sat for months and sold for nothing, tell me about it in the comments. That story is more common than most people realize, and other people watching this need to hear it. But here is what that actually means for your bid, and this is the specific formula experienced buyers use that almost nobody outside this market knows. Take the fair market value of the yacht in good documented condition, what it would sell for through a broker today. Subtract the full estimated cost of a repower if the engines are at or past their service life, which on a twin diesel motor yacht can reach $60,000 to $100,000. Subtract estimated refit costs for the systems a neglected repo will need. Raw water components, generator service, electrical, upholstery, bottom job. Take what remains and divide by 2. That is your maximum bid, not a starting point, a ceiling. So if a yacht is worth $500,000, clean, but needs $80,000 in engines and another $60,000 in deferred maintenance, you are working from $360,000. Divide by 2, and your ceiling is $180,000. Come in at $100,000 and you have built in your profit margin and your unknown buffer in the same number. That is the math, not a fantasy, a structured offer that prices in every risk you can see and leaves room for the ones you cannot. Now you have the formula. There is one more piece, and it is the most important thing in this entire video, because skipping it is what turns a six-figure opportunity into a six-figure disaster. But before that, if this is already changing how you see the market, hit subscribe. The pre-purchase marine survey. At this size, a proper survey from an independent NAMS or SAMS certified surveyor runs between $1,500 and $3,000. That is the cheapest money in this entire transaction. A surveyor finds delamination, corroded seacocks, water in the stringers, and an electrical system one arc away from a fire. A yacht can start cleanly and run smoothly at a preview on a sunny morning and still have a six-figure problem hidden behind an interior panel. The survey finds it before you own it. Pay for it every time, no exceptions. The people who win at this do the boring parts. They monitor listings for months without bidding. They inspect in person every time. They assume the worst about the engines and price that assumption into every offer. They budget the all-in number, not the hammer price. And they walk away from 40 boats to find the one where the math works. Do that, and a $500,000 yacht bought for $100,000 stops being a headline. It becomes arithmetic. The boats are sitting in storage lots right now waiting for the one buyer who actually shows up.